TG Geeks, episode 53, December 28th, 2015. Have you ever considered becoming an actor? Hello and welcome to another webcast from tggeeks.com, where Ben and Keith, the Two Gay Geeks, talk about all aspects of geekdom and nerdery. Sci-fi, comics, film, horror genre, you name it, we talk about it. I'm Keith Lane, and we are coming to you from TG Squared Studios in lovely Phoenix, Arizona.
And I'm Ben Raggington, also coming to you from, oh my God, it's below 60 degrees. I have to break up my parka, Phoenix, Arizona.
Yes, it is that time of year. So we've got a really exciting interview for you today, so let's get to it. And this week we have with us award-winning director, writer, jack of all trades, Patricia Chica. Welcome, Patricia.
Hello, guys. How are you?
We are doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic.
So you're out in Los Angeles right now, is that correct? And you're...
Yes, I'm in the beautiful Hollywood Hills. It's very sunny and warm today.
Oh,
lucky you.
Right.
Unlike
Phoenix. We're overcast. It's kind of gray, a little cool, kind of blah.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
So we wanted to talk to you about some current projects that you have going on and
talk about you as well.
So why don't you tell us who you are and what it is that you do, and then we'll kind of ask some questions along the way. How's that?
Perfect. Well, I'm an award-winning director-producer of independent films, and I'm also an acting coach, a certified acting coach from the Unlimited Actor method that was created by Nancy Mayans. She's an acting teacher and mentor in New York. And, I all my life I have been a storyteller. So that's what I do best. I tell stories through film. I tell stories through performances with actors. And I also help independent filmmakers promote their movies.
That's wonderful.
Because I believe that if we support each other in this field, we grow even better and bigger in the industry as filmmakers. So I truly believe in collaboration. And right now I'm in LA. I came here to work in the industry, and I realized that there are so many avenues to be a storyteller in Los Angeles. There are so many ways, so many collaborators, possibilities, and my life has taken another turn where now, after meeting Nancy Mayans, my mentor, I realized that I had this gift within myself to teach actors how to enhance their performances. And I've been training with Nancy for about 2 years now. And it's been a wonderful journey. And now that I am a certified acting coach, my colleague and I, Fatima Lopez, who is teaching in Mexico, and I are creating this retreat in Mexico in January. So it's very empowering to know that you can help others to perform better and in a more authentic and connected way on screen or on the stage.
Now, clearly, you don't want to give away everything about the acting technique. I mean, obviously, you're saving that for this retreat. But just in a really little nutshell, could you tell us what are some of the techniques that you would be helping these actors and actresses to explore to become better at the craft?
Absolutely. The Unlimited Actor method, it's an inspiring new paradigm in actor training. So instead of focusing on the character's thoughts and actions, we will focus more on the character's energy and the energy flow that everybody has. We are all vibrational beings. And when we connect ourselves with the quantum field, with universal consciousness, and through different techniques of breathing, of meditation and all that, you can really tackle into different archetypes that already exist from the past, the present, and the future of film, of theater, literature. All those archetypes already exist. And we can tackle into that universal consciousness to bring those archetypes into our energy flow and expand the performance. So we use a lot of ways, techniques that will bring the actors, the performing artists, and even the filmmakers into a zone of controlling that vibration, that energy, and making it serve the purpose of storytelling. And you don't even have to think about the method anymore, or your lines, or what you have to do, because it comes naturally as you become the character, any character that you want. Like Nancy, my mentor, was saying that you can even, just by reading the screenplay as an actor, tackle into the intention of the writer. Even if you've never met them, you can know exactly what the writer had in mind and transform that energy into your performance and be spot on. It's a technique that really works. I've been applying it myself in different productions, and I already was doing it instinctively since my early 20s, since I graduated from film school, when I was directing actors or musicians in music videos. And now that I understand how to control it, how to manipulate it, how to use it with the tools that Nancy taught me, it's like there's no limits. You can really use this in a way that is so powerful for an actor. And more and more actors in Hollywood are aware of this and using these techniques. That's why they excel, they get nominations. The performances are so real, so authentic on screen.
Right.
And it's very subtle, too.
It sounds fascinating. It sounds like a different take on, and I don't want to say that it's a different take on method acting, but it sounds very similar. You feel the character and you feel what the character is all about, and would you agree with that or not?
I completely agree. Well, actually,
it's different. It's different, but it's similar.
It's different, and it complements any other training actors already have. So
Wow.
If they studied method acting, if they studied Meisner or Stanislavski, anything, this will only complement and make it better.
Wow.
Because it's a tool that is different, but it has the same purpose. The purpose is to be as real, authentic, and connected as possible.
And
but it's a different way to approach it.
And that's what makes some acting better. I won't say better, but more authentic and more real, as you said. You get into the character, and that's what makes a good story and a good storyteller. And you were talking about being a storyteller, and that's what you need in the industry anymore, is to be a good storyteller.
Well, it's not just that, but also considering that you've got this nice little palette of short films that you have done. Like just shortly before this interview started, I had a chance to watch Ceramic Tango, and was completely captivated by the performance of our lead character and this torture that he's sort of going through. So when you directed this, I'm gathering that you worked with him in terms of this acting technique to help bring out a better performance, because he has virtually no lines in this, and yet you can't help but watch him the entire time to see what kind of reactions he's going to emote.
Absolutely. Well, Holy Scar, who played that character in Ceramic Tango, had zero experience as an actor. He had never been on screen as an actor in a role before in his life.
Wow.
So for 8 weeks, I trained him to become an actor. I coached him, and he's one of the actors where I used energy work the most because he had a huge emotional blockage that was preventing him from screaming. The last scene of the movie is him screaming,
Right.
and he just couldn't get the scream out of his mouth. He just couldn't scream at all.
Wow.
And I didn't understand what was going on. And it's energy work that allowed him to be able to scream. And all of what I'm talking about right now was documented in a documentary called Let It Out.
Right.
It's about 28 minutes long. It's on my Vimeo channel, also on my website, patriciachica.com. You can watch it for free. The transformation of this young actor from non-actor to ceramic tango.
Wow. We'll have to watch that.
All
Definitely.
of this is energy work, completely energy work. We did some breathing, meditation, and just the energy work you see me doing in that documentary around his chest, just to get him to scream. And his life was completely transformed after that, because he said, I felt like a new man. I was able to scream, to let it out. And all this blockage, emotional turmoil that he had repressed all his life since childhood came out in
Wow.
that scream.
There's a little bit of art mimicking life here, because that's one of the interesting elements that was explored, or at least stated, in Ceramic Tango, when the demon, as I like to think of him, kept saying,
Yes.
"Scream." It won't change anything. But I think it says, but you'll feel better, or something along those lines.
Yes, and you'll never be the same again.
Right.
Right.
It's a relief. It's life mimicking, but I didn't know that when I cast Holy Scar to play the role. I had no idea he had those emotional blockages. I just cast him for his looks and his energy, and I thought he had an edge, tattoos, piercings. That was very interesting for the character.
Wow, that's fascinating.
So it became a journey of transformation for him, for myself, for his co-lead. And it was very empowering through art, which is my mission in life, is to tell stories that are transformational and positive.
Right.
Well, that's
So
that's. I've always said that the best form of art is the kind that once you finish watching it, you're not the same person as you were when you started watching it. If it can transform you, then that's art at its finest form. And I would say that his scream at the end of that short was just from the gut. It was so genuine that I could feel it. It was amazing. So wow, I'm very impressed.
And that was the second time he screamed, because the first time was during the energy work that you see in the documentary, and where everything exploded. And I knew I couldn't have him rehearse again the scream. So what I did on set, after 4 exhausting days of shoot, of production, it was like 5:30 in the morning, and it was the last shot, the last take of the film, that scream. I kept it for the very, very end, because I knew after that scream he will be finished. Like no more energy to
Exactly.
And you don't
doing
want
anything.
you don't want it depleted either, because you definitely want something to be able to capture and put out there.
Yes, and it was only one take. One
Wow.
take. I knew. I told the crew, be ready and do not stop recording until I say cut. And you see all of this in the behind the scenes documentary. Like, he screamed, and there's total silence on set for a while before I said cut. And it was intentional, because that energy needed to settle before I could say cut, and everybody
absolutely.
started rushing
Excellent.
equipment.
Yeah.
Excellent.
You know?
There's nothing that I can't stand more when to see something just stopped abruptly, and I can feel as a viewer that, okay, there's something that's wrong here, because the energy is not allowed to naturally dissipate.
Exactly.
I always sense that, so I applaud the fact that, wow, it's nice to talk to somebody who has that awareness. I'm very impressed.
So this method helps filmmakers as well, because as filmmakers, we we have to use the energy to serve the actor and to serve the story. And when I work on other people's sets, I realize the energy is never serving the whole purpose of making a movie, which is the story and the actor, the performance. It's always yelling, running around, being busy, being always rushing everything. But if you really establish an energy flow that serves everybody, the whole team, everybody on set will feel it, and they will enhance even more what will be recorded on camera.
Yeah.
Because everything is made out of energy in this world,
Exactly.
Vibrations and atoms. It's physics. It's science, I'm not inventing anything here.
No. In fact, we're big into the whole idea of Newtonian and quantum physics. So to hear you say everything that you talked about, how that kind of knowledge could be employed into something that is generally regarded as art, I think is a fascinating idea. It's like a whole new unification theory almost.
We are all connected.
It's a very connective technique for actors, directors, crew people. I even use this method in my real life before I enter a boardroom full of execs and I have to pitch a project. I use it. Actors use it before entering the audition room to connect better with the people in the room and on camera. It serves everybody in your relationship. With your spouse, your partner, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, anybody, you can use. It's all about energy. What I'm doing now, thanks to Nancy, is using it more for storytelling for actors and filmmakers, but it could be used anywhere, honestly, in any field, any industry.
Oh, absolutely. Just becoming connected with the world around you is very important, and being aware of the world around you instead of being into the hustle and bustle, shall we say.
I think what's happened is we live in a society where we're all very isolated, and we've become very insular and not connected to each other or the world in general. And I think that's probably a major cause for a lot of the world's ills today, because we're not allowing ourselves to feel that connection with others and the environment. So this sounds like a very valuable technique that can be, as you pointed out, can be easily employed outside of just acting or any kind of performance medium. I mean, it could be a technique simply to be used for just living.
Absolutely.
Yes, being a good human being.
Oh, yes. And so you've told us a little bit about the method and how that happens. So do you want to give us some specifics on the retreat that itself? I mean, we just kind of launched into this interview, but we're really talking about this retreat that you have planned.
Yes, well, the retreat will be from January 20th to 24th, and most of the retreat will be concentrated on learning the method and doing exercises with the students. But we will also start the day with yoga and meditation with a teacher and warming up the energy centers. Everything that will be served as food in this resort will be healthy, homemade, gluten-free, vegan for those who are vegan. And everything that we consume also helps our energy flow. So we are very conscious of that. And we will have a visit to El Teposteco, which is an ancient temple on top of a mountain. And I have to mention that this location, I was there with Fatima, my colleague, scouting in September. And Tepoztlan in Mexico, which is about 2 hours away from Mexico City, has a very strong electrical magnetic field. So it's very conducive of energy, the location per se. And this resort is located at the bottom of the mountain. So the energy is very strong there.
Wow.
And we're going to be surrounded by nature, lush gardens. It's very beautiful, lots of birds, and, it's very quiet. And we're on the last day, on Sunday morning, the 24th, we're going to finish the retreat inside a temazcal, which is kind of a sweat lodge made out of clay, and a shaman will come there to do a traditional cleansing ceremony. It's a curative practice for the body, the mind, and the soul. So after that, you can go home, take your flight and go home and feel very relaxed, very re-energized and renewed at every level.
Absolutely.
It's going to be a very transformational retreat.
It sounds like it. You should come to Arizona in Sedona.
Sedona.
It's one of the central spots for the meeting of the ley lines.
Yeah,
and
the ley lines,
very
vortex
spiritual
points.
and vortex and all kinds of.
I'm very aware of Sedona, and that's a location we have also for future retreats of this method.
It's a fascinating place. It really, the minute if you drive up from the south, from Phoenix, where we live, and there's this one point that you turn around the corner, and it's like, oh my gosh, the mountains open up, and it's a spiritual experience.
Yeah, you immediately feel something. It's very powerful.
Yes, I can imagine.
So, where is it that people can look for information on this retreat?
They can go on Facebook, and the page is called The Unlimited After Retreat. And from there, you'll have access to our website, to all the information, where to register, where to become a student, all the prices. It's very inexpensive because we are keeping all the costs as low as possible to allow as many students to benefit from this method. And Mexico is not a very expensive place to create those retreats because, it's a little less expensive than in the U.S. So that's why we are making it there. It's very affordable, and we are giving discounts to students if they refer other friends or if they come as a group. So we can accommodate everybody depending on their budget.
That's wonderful. That's great. So in addition to this retreat and the teaching that you do, you have made a tremendous number of films, and I'm fascinated by a few of them. The one in particular that I want to talk about was Serpent's Lullaby. Now, we haven't watched the film, but the trailer, oh my God, it makes me say, I have to see this film.
Yes.
The trailer is so artistic. The trailer is just...
the trailer is a piece of art.
It's a piece of art itself.
I mean, the cinematography is so unbelievably, breathtakingly beautiful that you can't help but feel a sense of awe and a sense of horror at the same time. And when horror and art can come together like that, it's truly just mind-blowing. And yeah, that trailer is beautiful. Can tell us more about Serpent's Lullaby?
Yes, Serpent's Lullaby is the second short I made with writer Charles Hall. He wrote it for me. He said, Patricia, there's a contest from the ABCs of Death. You have to be the 26th director. I'm going to write you a short story. And they were looking for the director to do the letter M, and M is for Medusa. So we started pre-production on this short, and our goal was to submit it to the ABCs of Death anthology. And the project became so big that we never finished it on time for the deadline. And it became so ambitious that finally, instead of being 3 minutes, it became 13 minutes. And we kept shooting and, over different seasons from fall to winter. So it was a great idea to expand the story a little more, and the cinematography is simply spectacular. It was done by Richard Duquette, who is a great collaborator of mine out of Montreal. and the short has been winning multiple awards, been presented at a lot of film festivals around the world, both the horror genre festivals and the mainstream festivals. So it was a nice project to showcase what horror could be from a psychological point of view, where you don't see any blood, you don't see any violence, but it's all in the mind, you know, the feeling, the emotion of it.
Right.
It's very scary without showing too much.
Yeah, we have changed our tune on horror here recently, because prior to October, when we went to Horrible Imaginings Film Fest, actually when we interviewed Miguel Rodriguez from Horrible Imaginings, he was telling us about horror, and you know what horror has become today is blood and gore and guts and, you know, shock and awe and all this other stuff, and that doesn't appeal to me.
It's only a small portion of
small
horror.
portion, yeah. And he really changed our minds with the interview and also the Horrible Imaginings, because a lot of the films that they screened there at Horrible Imaginings Film Festival, you didn't see anything. You know, it was all that surprise element, and we came away with a different view and appreciation for horror itself. And
plays with like theater of the mind, so to
yeah,
speak.
so to hear that about Serpent's Lullaby is interesting. I really want to see the whole short now.
Yeah, I'm very excited about it.
Yes.
As well
you
as
can see it on my website.
Okay.
If you go to patriciachica.com and you click on the poster on the front page, there's a poster of Serpent's Lullaby. I put an unlisted link because I don't want to make it public yet, but
Right.
for those who know how to search, they'll find it on my website. My style is to bring the fear element just because you are seeing a mirror image of yourself on screen and questioning your own beliefs and your own intentions. And this is what's the most fearful to me, is when
Right.
you realize that there's humanity in the evil characters out there.
Right.
Because it questions your own humanity and your own way of living. And I'm not talking necessarily about you and I, but in general, society can have disturbing characters.
Absolutely.
But they're all human beings, you know? And when you tackle into that humanity, it's where is the fine line, you know, between evil and human?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the fear element that I like to explore in my film.
Yeah, that psychological thing that everybody
Yes.
has a little bit of. They have a dark side to them, and it depends on, you know. It goes back to the old Indian story or Native American story of there's good and evil in all of us. It depends on which one we want to let out.
Which one do you feed the most?
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, you had mentioned about tackling subjects that they deal with trying to understand. You've got a short, or I don't know if to call it short, but you're working on something right now that kind of caught our attention. It's something called The Morning After. It's more LGBTQ, and of course, without going too much into it, but it's a little bit of it's a coming of age LGBT type story. Now, with most LGBT movies that have been marketed, it's always been about trying to help the masses better understand who these people are. Now, this is going to be a very dangerous question. I'm hoping I can ask it correctly. Just for argument's sake, or to play devil's advocate, have you ever thought about taking on a subject that was on the other point of view, the opposing point of view? Because one of the big problems that we have today is a lack of understanding of one another. Have you ever thought about taking, say for the LGBT point of view, have you ever thought about taking on, tackling a movie that deals with those people that are against the LGBT community in an attempt to help us better understand them?
I think that's a very provocative question, of course. I have thought about, and I don't want to get into that right now because it's a long conversation, but I met somebody in El Salvador, which is a very repressed society for young gay males. And this young man came to me at one of my screenings and he said, "You are the perfect director to tell my story because I'm 25 now, but when I was 12, from age 9 to age 12, I fell in love with my doctor. And I was so obsessed by this man. He was married, he was heterosexual with 2 kids, happy in a marriage with his wife. And he was telling his mother, 'Can I go to the doctor? Can I go to the doctor?' And the mother ran him to the doctor, and he finally had a relationship, a sexual relationship. I don't know how he made this man change his ways, but the man became friends, used to go pick him up at school. And for most people, this will be called pedophilia.
Right.
But this young man came to me after my screening. He's now 25, and he said, 'I want you to tell my story. I want to speak with you in a film, a documentary. I don't know what format you want to make it. But I want to tell the society that this wasn't pedophilia because I am the one who wanted that, and I don't regret it.'
So wow, that is dangerous.
This is very controversial,
yeah.
You know, when somebody comes to you and is willing to provide the story, which is fascinating. So your question is very provocative because how, you know, if you want to go into the reverse mode, which I find very appealing, but I haven't found a way to say that, I haven't found the right project, the right writer or collaborator to do it with.
Well, you have to find somebody that's come around, that has come around, and you know that.
Yes.
That because otherwise it's would come off as what's the word I'm looking for? Disingenuous.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
So you got to find somebody that has come around from being anti-gay to being, you know, supportive and to be able to tell that story, and somebody that's a storyteller themselves.
Right, because you want to tell something that's going to build bridges instead of build fences, obviously.
Exactly. So
right now I have this project because my dear friend Christian Hutko, who was also an acting coach on Ceramic Tango and a great collaborator of mine, he wanted to tell this very personal story, and I strongly resonated with it myself because I've been facing those challenges that we explore in this film myself as well, about sexual identity, about what is convention, what is not. And I think today, with everyone being more curious about sexual diversity, there is like an emerging, hungry new audience for being represented on screen, and you don't have to be black or white or this or that. You can be in the middle of this different grades of sexuality, you know,
right.
And it's okay to sometimes change your mind from one or the other, you know.
Right. It's become a little more acceptable to be sexually fluid, shall we say.
Yes, and this movie talks about that because it's there are different characters with different shades of sexual identity, and it's beautiful to see them come together and talk about it and explore different avenues and be in harmony with each other.
Right. The
as
teaser.
Human beings, as friends. Yeah.
Yeah. The teaser really is. It's a fascinating. I know that you put that teaser trailer out there. We've seen it. It's on your website now, patriciachica.com. Yes. But it really is a fascinating. I understand that was just a screen test for the film coming up, and you're going to be shooting that next year. Is that correct?
Yes, we're going to be shooting it next summer in Montreal when it's beautiful, sunny, and warm.
Great.
And all the 5 actors in there are professional of the up-and-coming rising stars in Canada.
Oh,
so
far out.
Christina Rosado, she is now playing opposite Dennis Quaid in The Art of More on Crackle. Zoe de Grand Maison, she's a lead in Orphan Black. And
Oh, wow.
Christian Hodko, I mean, he's been in a lot of TV series like Rain last year. And all the other actors, Thomas Valliere, Lucas Lane, they're so wonderful and talented, and they are very well known in Quebec. So I'm very honored that these actors accepted to come for a day and shoot the screen test so we can raise the funding for the film and shoot it in Montreal next summer.
Wow, we'll have to have you and Christian on here and do an interview with the two of you.
Yes, we'd definitely like to talk more about that film.
Especially since we are the Two Gay Geeks, we certainly want to be supportive of LGBTQ cinema, if you will.
And absolutely. And I was helping I Am Alone, Robert Palmer and Michael A. Weiss that you already interviewed during Phoenix Comic Con. So I was researching online for blogs and, people who were involved with the Phoenix Comic Con. And I found your site, and I was so excited when I saw Two Gay Geeks. They're into the geek culture, and they're into LGBTQ themes. Oh, my God, how can this even exist? It's so neat, but so particular. And I was, you wouldn't believe it. I was ecstatic when I found your blog, and then I started researching and reading articles and what you've been publishing on your blog, and it was. I was very happy to know that you are exploring those two themes and in one website. So
we just simply like to talk about the things that we enjoy.
Exactly.
I mean, that's all there is to it.
It's just kind of us. I mean, if our banter that we have on our show that we do is just us. I mean, it's kind of, if you were to sit here in our regular conversation and not just on the show, you would see that what we talk about on our show it's what
we talk about together in real life.
We'll be watching we'll be watching something. In fact, we were watching the season finale, or was it season finale?
I think it was a mid-season.
The mid-season finale of Elementary earlier today, and we had to stop it several times because we had to talk about it.
I mean, that's what we do.
That's what we do. We record everything, and then we watch it, and we talk about it in between, and then we talk about it on the show, and so
because we're just a couple of guys who, I mean, we're a couple, and we just like to geek out on these kinds of things. So, and we really did heavily geek out on I'm Alone in a really big way.
What an incredible film, and thank you for putting us together with. Michael
and Robert and Gareth
and you and my gosh,
that you helped to give us probably the best 50th episode we could have ever hoped for.
Yeah, that was really incredible.
Thank you so much. Well, I'm just doing what I have to do is to contribute to other people's careers as well, which is what I love the most about being a filmmaker.
Yeah,
I'm allowed to do my own thing, but also expand people's careers as well.
Absolutely.
Well, we appreciate that. We appreciate that because we've worked with a couple of other independent projects, and we're always really big on trying to get the exposure, get their names out there, so that other people who listen to us and people who know people who listen to us will become familiar with these names and hopefully give life or further life to whatever project it is that these people are working on. So I want to know, given that we just did a big thing on I Am Alone, how did you get connected with that? Because in addition to being a director and a producer,
you have a PR firm.
You're
as well.
also into public relations.
Yeah, so I met Robert during the RIP Horror Hollywood Film Festival, and they won an award for Best Director, and my new film, A Tricky Treat, won Best Short, and I won Best Female Director Award, like the Bloody Doll Award. So we were hanging out at this festival, and I told Robert, if you need publicity, I can really help you out, because it would be a shame that you're winning this award and no one hears about it, and you have a great film, and I would love to contribute. And my short Serpent's Lullaby also opened for his film, I believe, during the festival. So
that's a pairing.
So it was great to meet them there, and then we met again during the American film market to talk about the details, and it just started like that, casually over over a drink at the festival. So that's how I do things. I just talk to people and tell them what I do, and if the energy, the communication is good, we collaborate.
Well, that's great. That's kind of the way we do things as well. It's just, it's all about making the connections, and we love to share the wealth and share, other people's work. And we really, our intro to independent film was actually through a guy that I have known since the 5th grade. It was,
wow.
It was a casual Facebook message from him when we were at Phoenix Comic-Con last year, in June, that he said his cousin had a horror film short in the film festival. Mm-hmm. We watched it. We got connected with Neil, and it just kind of...
It mushroomed.
And independent film has become our thing to support. I mean, we certainly still talk about mainstream film, etc., because that's it. It's all out there, and we can't avoid not talking about it since we're such geeks and nerds. But we really have become tremendous supporters of independent films because there is so much talent out there. It's unbelievable.
Oh, yes. And publicity helps people stand out, because there are so many talented people that sometimes it's not necessarily the most talented that get the exposure. It's the ones who have a publicist.
Exactly.
Right.
And,
exactly.
So that's why I bring my talents to empower independent filmmakers, because
Absolutely.
They are not backed up by studios or big companies. They do it all, grassroots, on their own, with their own budgets and resources. And I'm kind of that bridge between independent and the media. So
yeah.
I'm able to facilitate a lot of the exposure that those filmmakers get, to the point where I Am Alone is now being reviewed by The Hollywood Reporter.
Oh, far out.
And you would never think such a small, low-budget film, it's a great film, but it's still very low budget, could be even noticed by a big media like The Hollywood Reporter.
It was exactly.
And it's thanks to the work of public relations that this is possible.
Yeah.
And, I've been doing public relations pretty much since I began my career, and it was always like in the shadows of my filmmaking. I did publicity for Women in Film in Montreal many, many years ago, different festivals, associations, and for my own films, and to the point where I gathered so much information and contacts that now I can do it professionally for others, and it serves mostly the horror community, horror fantasy genre, the geek community very well, because I have so many contacts in that field. And I'm now lucky to have you as friends and
Yay!
Be aware of your blog, which is amazing. You have so much information out there. I'm very happy that I'm doing my first interview about the retreat with you guys.
You're gonna, compliments like that are gonna make me cry. They really are. I mean, I can't tell you how much that means to the both of us.
It really does. It was a year ago. We had just finished FanFest a year ago. That we took a very long break until in January sometime, because it was just, we weren't feeling the love, and we almost gave up. And so it's to hear things like that now, 1 year later, that we've done 50 episodes now, and everything is just turned around, and to hear somebody say something nice about us, it really feels good. Because we were kind of wondering, does anybody really listen to us? Does anybody pay attention? And it's just persistence, I guess.
Well, you're building your brand as well. It takes time.
Oh,
it takes time
we
to build an
know.
audience. And now I'm aware of you, and more people will be aware. I'm going to be sharing this interview on my social media. And that's how you're starting to build your network, and keep doing it. Never give up.
Absolutely.
We need the Two Gay Geeks there. We need you guys.
Yeah,
we want to keep reading about geek culture and LGBTQ and all that. So,
yep. And we
from
make
your
sure.
perspective.
I don't know if Michael and Robert told you that all days at the Fan Fest we had our shirts on with our logo, and it was very, very LGBT centered. Our logo is, and you've seen that.
Mm-hmm.
So we were proudly walking around as the Two Gay Geeks. So it takes time, and I knew that. It just kind of
after a while you kind of get a little tired. It's like, oh, I just wish something good would come our way.
and it has. And,
yeah, a lot of good came our way.
And a lot of good came our way thanks to you, and we really appreciate you as well. Thank you for giving us the time and the time with Michael and Robert for I Am Alone and Gareth, and thank you for giving us the time.
They had a blast,
Oh, we did
great.
too.
It was so much fun. Did they tell you that we were outside at the hotel, and we set up our studio there and just had a great interview there? So it was really nice.
I saw the photos.
Oh yeah,
I saw the photos in panoramic with all the setup. You placed the microphones and everything.
Yep.
They were so excited, and the interview was very energetic and like back and forth. So much was said during that. I think it was like half an hour or something.
Yeah, we
50
were
minutes.
45 minutes or so. Yeah.
Yeah, about 45 minutes after editing. It was and there was very little editing. Yeah, it was amazing. I mean, that was so much fun. And yes, Keith said, you really were the one who facilitated
and thank
that.
You. So tell us more about projects that you have coming up, or anything else that you want to tell us about right now.
Absolutely. Well, I'm always in development of different features, and I have this project called Montreal Girls. The screenplay has won awards. It's going to be shot in Montreal and the Middle East in Cairo, Egypt. And it's a coming-of-age dark comedy about a young student who goes to McGill University and gets distracted by the beautiful girls in Montreal during the summer. It's very funny. And I'm also looking for a matching fund for a feature called Wolverine Hotel, which is also based on an award-winning script and a true story. And we already have raised $750,000.
Wow.
So we're looking for a matching fund to trigger the production this spring. And it's a wonderful project with producer Byron A. Martin from Toronto. And Byron, he produced the American Pie series. He worked on X-Men, the first one.
Wow.
So he's a very big producer in Canada. And we're just looking for the right partners, because a lot of people come along our way to participate, and it's not always the right people or the right circumstance. So we're keeping looking for the right person.
It falls into that whole thing about, as you said, about energy, getting the right people that have that same kind of energy that will work in some kind of synchronicity to whatever it is that you and the you and the writer, how they've envisioned this project to go. So naturally you clearly want something that's going to help facilitate a very healthy flow.
Absolutely. It's so important because as filmmakers, producers, directors, we work in a collaborative art. If you want to work alone, just become a painter or a poet, you know.
Yeah.
So you gotta think well with the people and surround yourself with the right energy to make the best project possible. Otherwise, it's not even worth going through the whole journey of filmmaking if it's not going to be a happy one.
So just to let our listeners know, if they want to learn more about you or learn more about what it is that you are backing or are working on, or if you are on social media, how can they learn about all things Patricia Chica?
I'm all over social media, so if you Google my name, you'll find me for sure. Patricia Chica on Facebook, Chicatronica on Facebook and Instagram. I'm also on Twitter, and the best way to find all of those links is through my website, patriciachica.com. And please like my pages. Every movie has a different page and different angles of telling the story of my life and my art. I'm very generous with my fan base, so I will answer all questions if they are asked kindly, of course. And I believe in being always very generous with my time when it comes to sharing content for free or to reach out to the audiences because they are part of this process with me.
Absolutely.
Obviously, you can't really succeed if you don't have the audience out there.
Exactly.
Well, thank you very much, Patricia, for spending time with us today. We really appreciate this time, and we look forward to more projects from you.
And we look forward to talking to you again in the future.
Yes.
Yes, Keith and Ben, thank you guys. I love your blog.
Oh, thank you.
Stay as geeky as possible. Don't change anything.
Never.
You're perfect. We love your blog, the Two Gay Geeks. So thank you so much.
Well,
All right.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
This is Gareth David Lloyd, Yanti from Torchwood, Solus from Dragon Age, and Jacob Fitz from I Am Alone, and you are listening to the Two Gay Geeks.
And everybody knows that is the birthdays music. So here are a few selected birthdays for December 28th through January 4th, 2016. December 28th, Stan Lee.
Forget Dick Clark being the oldest kid ever. I think Stan Lee is the oldest kid ever. He's still going.
He is.
And he's in his 90s.
Yeah.
I love him.
Yep. Maggie Smith.
Best movie she was ever in. Think about it. Death on the Nile.
Death on the Nile? Yes.
The way she mouths off at Betty Davis. Best Maggie Smith role ever.
Yep. And also on December 28th, Nichelle Nichols.
I adore her. Met her in person. She was wonderful.
On December 29th, Ted Danson. And we were talking about Ted Danson earlier today, and because we were talking about CSI Cyber, that we haven't figured out whether we're going to continue watching that. It was great when they brought Ted Danson in.
Oh, he's fantastic.
Some real good science and try to change the tone of the show.
Well, the overall series, but
I don't know.
The computer aspect of it's a little bit out there.
Getting out there. And also on December 29th, Bernard Cribbins. He was. We were talking about that just here.
Yeah, because we watched Doctor Who.
Yeah, and I think this is the first Christmas episode that Bernard Cribbins has not been in.
No, he wasn't in last year's either.
Was it? He wasn't? Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure he wasn't in last year's.
I don't know. And also December 29th, Ian DeCasticker.
Wow.
I
did. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I like the guy. I had no idea that he shared a birthday with Bernard Cribbins and Ted Danson. Nice.
Yeah. December 30th, Davy Jones and Peter Nesmith. Did you know that
No.
they were both had the same birthday?
I had no idea.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Far out.
Also, December 30th, Maurice Ravel and Rudyard Kipling. December 31st, Sir Anthony Hopkins, John Denver.
Oh boy. My musical hero for time and all eternity.
And Ben Kingsley and Lance Reddick, also on December 31st. January 1st, Xavier Cugat. And on January the 2nd, Isaac Asimov.
One of the greatest science fiction writers ever.
January 3rd, Sergio Leone. Why do you think I put that in there?
I really couldn't say.
Spaghetti Westerns.
Oh, of course.
And also on January 3rd, George Martin, not George R.R. Martin, George Martin, the producer of The Beatles.
The Beatles.
And also on January 3rd, J.R.R. Tolkien.
The greatest fantasy, well, arguably one of the greatest fantasy writers ever.
And that is the birthdays for this week.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Technorama, the podcast for geeks, because geeks are better than cool. You don't hear someone say, "Get away from me, you cool person." Who's gonna have their 65-inch home theater system installed by the Cool Squad? Not me, that's for sure. How much cool cred do you have? Not enough to care about. Think you'll find any canned unicorn meat at thinkcool.com? It's just a part domain name. They don't even have roadkill in a paper cup. That's why you need to start listening to Technorama, because that's what geeks do. Go to chuckchat.com and listen to Technorama before you turn cool.
Go over to chuckchat.
Yes?
Go over to chuckchat.com and listen to our good friends Chuck and Craig at Technorama, and occasionally us too.
Yes, from time to time.
And it is time for...
Yes, it's listener feedback, and we got some interesting little bits of feedback here and there, and I want to start off with something that came from Crazy Joe, and I need to back up a little bit because this is in regards to a story that we published on our website last week where the cast for the play Harry Potter and the Cursed Child had just been cast. The Golden Trio had just been cast for that play. And what is alarming, well, I don't say alarming, but what caught the attention of a lot of people was who will be playing Hermione. It has gone to an actress named Noma Dumzwini. I hope I pronounced that right. She is Anglo-African. So, of course, everybody kind of went crazy because Hermione was played by young Emma Watson, and thought, well, how are you doing this? Well, J.K. Rowling took to Twitter and simply said, canon, brown eyes, frizzy hair, and very clever. White skin was never specified. Rowling loves Black Hermione. That's what J.K. Rowling tweeted. So, Crazy Joe had something to say about that. And he writes, casting a black woman as Hermione is fine so long as it's a separate continuity. This can't be the same continuity as the movies, though. Hermione's race wouldn't change over the years. And then he writes parenthetically, unless if her race changed due to a spell, which in the world of Harry Potter would not be unbelievable. Rowling is correct. The book never says she's white. So this could be a sequel to the book, but it cannot be in continuity with the movies because in the movies she clearly is white. And unless we assume it was a magical change, a person's race doesn't change over the years. Comments?
Well, I for the play, it doesn't matter to me.
No, not to me either.
You know?
As far as being separate continuity, I really don't know. We're not going to know until the play comes out. And if J.K. even writes a novelization to the book, and then maybe we can get kind of some sort of a sense. And maybe it is that. Maybe it will be just a sequel to the books, because if this never gets filmed, then, there you go. Your movie continuity and your book continuity can remain completely different, which actually makes a lot of sense because there are some details in the books which don't make it over to the movies and vice versa. So as far as separate continuity goes, Joe, I think you're onto something. Now, last week we had a wonderful conversation about Christmas movies, and we had some feedback from there as well. Our good friend Scott Linder writes, another fantastic podcast. But I don't know if I missed it, but what about Die Hard for a Christmas movie pick? It's not just Christmas time until I'm watching Hans Gruber falling from the Nakatomi building.
Didn't he write Silent Night?
Yes, he did. How did you know? Yes, and he wrote a wildfire. Silent night, only. Yeah. I'm reaching.
Oh, that's Franz Gruber. Franz Gruber.
Oh, is that it? Oh,
That wrote
never mind what I
Silent
just said. Scott, you're absolutely right. In fact, you're not the first person to actually bring that up. A number of people wrote to us and said that Die Hard, especially the first two movies, because they both take place around Christmas time. The first two movies could be considered non-holiday themey kind of Christmas type films. So, yeah, it was an oversight. Good catch on you, Scott. I'm impressed. And then from our good friends at Lookie Show on Twitter, or at Lookie, they wrote, cute episode for the season. Everyone sounds like they had a good time.
And we did.
And we did. Other folks posting special episodes this week at time of posting were at OddPod Retro, at Joe Grow Retro, at Sci-Fi Night, at Smiling LDS Girl, at The J Swick. So if any of you want to check out those podcasts, there they are. And then our good friend Brian Arkle Weber had to leave a comment, and we love it when you comment, Brian. He writes, a great, very non-traditional Christmas movie, one me and my family loves, is The Ref. It's a movie from the mid-90s or so starring Dennis Leary and Kevin Spacey. Oh, my God. Those two?
Yeah.
And is about a married couple on the verge of divorce who get kidnapped by a professional burglar on the run on Christmas Eve, and it is hysterical. The only other Christmas movie that makes me laugh as much as The Ref is National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, and that movie is very funny. So,
Yes.
Okay, well, thank you for the recommendation. We will check that one out.
Check that out, yeah.
And then my personal good friend of mine, Jared Rose, I've known Jared for over 10 years now. He writes, we watched Arthur Christmas last night based on your recommendation. Wow, so good. We loved it. And like you, we were both very teary-eyed at the end. Great recommendation, TGG.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank you. Fabulous.
happy to know you guys liked it. So now, regarding the little discussion we had about the Star Wars cultural phenomenon, Jared's husband, Michael, wrote, he just had a quick little thank you saying, hey, Ben, thanks for the shout out on the podcast. And yeah, we were shouting out because you've got a BB-8 and I don't. And then we also posted last week a story about the real reason why there aren't going to be any more Hulk movies and how Mark Ruffalo actually knows. And briefly, Mark Ruffalo states it's because Hulk the distribution rights are owned by Universal. The movie rights belong to Marvel, but the distribution rights belong to Universal, and they're not going to let them go. And because Universal has become a real powerhouse in Hollywood, they're not willing to negotiate at this present time. So, good friend Scott Linder then gives us another message and says, my thought is that Ruffalo is the best thing to happen in the Marvel Hulk franchise. I think they really need to do a standalone Hulk movie sometime. Will be hard with the current movie schedule they're on right now, though. Yes, the movie schedule is pretty bloated. They've had to keep shoving things around, especially when they brought Spider-Man. And then I think also when Black Panther came into the scene, they decided to do some more shuffling. So, yeah, that would be a bit tough. And then we also did a story about Avengers Infinity War, about how those two movies are going to be just packed to the brim with characters. And friend Tom Alrid Gulbranson writes, well, the big question is how many will die? Not Iron Man, at least. He signed up for many more films. Cap has only one contract until part 1, so he is a likely casualty. Tom, I think you're right. Sadly, I think next movie is where we say farewell to Steve Rogers, at least for the time being. And this person's going to have to bring a big box of Kleenex because he's my favorite hero. Anyway. And then we also posted a little Christmas greeting, and we will have that link on the show notes as well as the stories that we've talked about already on our show notes. And just a little bunch of messages from people, like our good friend Carol Chernich writes, you gay geeks are doing so well, proud of you. A classmate of mine, Michelle Miller, writes, Merry Christmas, you two. Deb Kanak, who we are friends with here in Phoenix, writes, Merry Christmas, Keith and Ben. And now... This is epic. from our good podcasting colleagues over on Twitter and on YouTube. They are The Lookie Show. You can see them on Twitter at Lookie. And this is in response to the card that we posted online. It's a picture of me and Keith wearing matching checkered shirts with Santa Claus in the middle. And there's a beautiful little graphic with the Santa and the sleigh in the background. And you can see that on our website. Anyway.
So there was an epic...
an epic Twitter response. That took like 5 parts.
Yes.
And I will attempt to read it as...
the twins.
As the twins do on their YouTube show. So, twins, forgive me. I'm not mocking. I'm just trying to capture what it is that you two were saying. Entertained by shirts. Imagine sleigh struck in tree, and you showed up to save the day. And who should appear? Why, it's Santa in a tree with all his reindeer. But the 2 Gay Geeks were on some forest tracks, and wasn't it lucky that they were toting an axe? So they got Santa free. He went on his rounds. But he said he'd be back for a night in the town. And this true story, dear friends, is totally true. Hence this greet from Santa, the 2 Gay Geeks, to you.
When I read it in all its multiple parts...
I heard it in their voices.
I heard it in both voices of the twins.
And we just want to say, twins, we love you.
Yes. And
totally.
If you don't know what it's all about, what they are all about, The Lookie Show on YouTube, they have a big presence on Twitter, but YouTube is where they do their show, and they put a lot of work into this YouTube show. It's 2 puppets, they're twins, and they review old movies. Classic old movies.
It is probably the most original and brilliant type of review show on YouTube today. It is genius.
You have to go check it out. It's
I
really
love
great.
it.
If you like old movies and campy movie reviews, check it out.
It's a joy.
Show. Yep.
And we will have that link on our notes.
Yes. Go check it out.
And that's it for the feedback.
So if you have some feedback for us, our listeners, we want to hear from you. You are important. If you like our show, or even if you dislike it, we want to know what's on your mind. You can look up our Facebook page as TG Squared Studios or as TG Geeks Webcast, or you can comment on our episodes and articles we publish. You can even comment on our YouTube episodes or at tggeeks.com directly on the article itself. Or you could receive a shout-out, or you can receive a shout-out on a future episode.
Like all these people just did.
Exactly. You can also call our listener feedback line, and we will play your comment on air. 469-TG-GEEKS. That is 469-844-3357.
Hi, this is Ginny Koch, author of the Alien Catherine Kitty Cat series from Daw Books, part of Penguin Random House, and you're listening to Two Gay Geeks.
And I got a couple of little news items we want to say. And
sorry that started a little loud there.
Yeah, well, it was great. It was nice anyway. It's good music. And I'm just throwing this in because we just had the Genie bumper. Keith and I just finished reading her latest book, Alien in Chief.
Oh my gosh! You must.
Oh man!
You should start reading this series.
Start from
fabulous.
the beginning. If you have not read these books,
Touched by an Alien.
Start with Touched by an Alien and go through. Genie Koch. They are wonderful. Anyway, got 2 stories I want to touch on really quickly, and these 2 are just wacko. We got the season 2 of Agent Carter that is about to premiere. It'll be as of the time this episode airs, like in about 2 or 3 weeks. And there's going to be a crossover. Oh, but not just any crossover. Now, we all know that Haley Atwell, blah, blah, blah. Haley Atwell, we all know she is the queen of the dub smash, has been proven. But they're going to take her into yet a new direction, and that is dancing, because this series is going to cross over with, hang on, people, Dancing with the Stars.
Oh, my Lord.
And how this is going to happen is episode 8 is going to end with a cliffhanger where both Peggy and Jarvis get in big trouble and are knocked out. And episode 9 is going to begin with a dream sequence that starts in black and white And the producer says Haley was made for black and white. They said she looks like Rita Hayworth.
Oh, my.
Well, I believe it. And anyway, the dream sequence will begin in black and white, and it will eventually escalate into full color Broadway number featuring an original song from lyricist David Zippel and composer Christopher Lennertz, created while working with executive producers Tara Butlers and Fazekas. And this is all going to be choreographed by the Dancing with the Stars, Louis Van Amstel, and features several of those shows' professional dancers. Now, how cool is that?
That'd be cool.
And that episode is also going to feature the return of Lindsay Fonseca as Peggy's best friend, Angie Martinelli, the actress' roommate.
Oh, my
so
Lord.
that will be a ton of fun. I'm really kind of jazzed about this. And it shows that they're not trying to be too serious.
Yeah.
I mean, just as much as Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. can be just really very intense and dramatic, Agent Carter tries to be more light.
Yeah.
So I'm really happy with that.
That's cool.
Now, this story caught my attention for multiple reasons. It appears that the White Canary, also known as Sarah Lance, as played by Katie Lotz, Sarah Lance is going to get a love interest in the upcoming Legends of Tomorrow. Well, she's leaving Star City.
Right.
We know that because she's going to be teaming up with Rip Hunter, and they're going to be traveling through time. So she's gonna be a little bit lonely because I don't think she's going to want to pal up with any of those people. And what's going to happen is she is going to be transported back to 1950 because this is a time travel show, and she is going to meet a young woman played by Ali Liebert, who she's harboring a dark secret, and that is, well, she's a lesbian. And think about it. This caught my attention for two reasons. First,
was she a refugee?
Yeah.
A Lebanese?
Yes, from Lebanese. You can
she doesn't look Middle Eastern.
Oh, yes, you can send your hate mail to I hate those two gay geeks at seriously.
Sorry.
Anyway, yeah, that's an old running joke. Anyway, what impressed me is the diversity that they're playing with again. Because Sarah, she's bisexual. I mean, she got it together with Oliver and with Nissa Azghul or Raza Ghul. Okay, Nissa I can't pronounce it. Yeah, Raza Ghul's daughter. Nissa. Thank you.
There you go.
I can't say Nissa Azghul. That for some reason doesn't work.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, it's like Worcestershire. So Sarah, she's very fluid. We'll say that. She can bend in many ways. This is not working out for me. Next. Anyway, so there's a diversity issue that really intrigued me, and they're going to be kind of mirroring Sarah's story in that because now she's been resurrected by the Lazarus Pit. So she's got her own little dilemma to deal with, and that is, how can somebody who is as bloodthirsty as me be able to have a loving relationship with somebody else? So she's going to be trapped in her own emotional cage. Ali Liebert's character is going to be in her own emotional cage because she's from the 1950s. So there's going to be some interesting social issues that they're going to tackle here. And once again, I like the fact that the CW is going to be showing some diversity. But what really gets me the most is that it appears Ali Liebert's going to be a regular.
Interesting.
That's what intrigues me.
Maybe she'll time travel with them.
Well, but here's the thing. This series is only getting a half-season order. It starts in January. And it ends, May, June, whenever it's going to end? So they're bringing in yet somebody else to be in on the show?
Interesting.
And what's this telling me? That that maybe the series isn't going to be canceled before it premieres, as some stories have reported?
Yeah.
And that B, maybe, just maybe, the series will actually have a life after it ends this season, or the season of 2016.
Hopefully.
I certainly hope so, because I think they got some really good gold going on here.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's what I have to share with you today.
Well, we just have some follow-up items as usual. Phoenix Comic-Con 2016. The hotels are available. The Hyatt is gone. They keep opening a few blocks here and there.
So you have to keep checking.
A few more rooms. So if you haven't gotten a room at the Hyatt and you want to be at the Hyatt, just keep checking. They might open some more blocks. I actually had originally tried the Hyatt, and they were all gone because I screwed up and was trying to do it on my iPad and couldn't make it work. And then I checked it on my computer, and by then the rooms were gone. So I made a reservation at the Renaissance, and then
which is the second hotel.
Yeah, it was just a block away, but I checked a couple of days later, and the Hyatt was available, so I made one there and canceled the Renaissance.
And we're getting in for less.
Yeah, actually. So keep checking. They have rooms, lots of rooms. If you are considering going for the entire Phoenix Comic-Con, it is well worth it to get a hotel down at the convention itself.
Can we say what is it we're going to be doing in our room?
Hopefully we will have our studio set up there and doing some interviews and parts of the show from.
Yes, with any luck.
With any
luck.
So,
and this could really set us up to interview a lot of people there.
Yeah.
Not just media guests, but even some of the dealers possibly.
Yeah, you never know. So they also have memberships available at a discounted price. So keep checking PhoenixComicCon.com for updates.
And we want to give thanks to the Doctor Who Fancast Guide for taking our stories and republishing them. Thank you. That has really boosted circulation. And we took a look at the stats yesterday.
I think there was an anomaly or something.
Well, I'll take anything I could get. Yeah. I don't care if it's an anomaly or not. Man, I saw stars when I looked at those numbers. Yeah. Anyway, you can subscribe to the Doctor Who Fancast Guide by going to Twitter and finding Doctor Who Talking Who on Twitter, and their address is @TalkingWho, and we will have that link on the show notes. Just as we also wish to give thanks to good friend Brian Weber. He has his own little publication. It is the Arkle Times Post Dispatch Social Justice Scald, and you can get that by following him on Twitter @Arkle, and we will have that link on the show notes as well. And last but by no means least, definitely give a shout out to the Facebook group, The Gay Geek, for allowing us to post our episodes on their page. And their URL is facebook.com/groups/The Gay Geek. Special thanks to moderator Jeremiah Reeves.
Yes, thank you very much.
He really is a really great guy, and I'm hoping that we can become Facebook friends someday.
Up next time, we've got some deep geeking with our scientist/author friend, Dr. Christine Hartman.
And a fun time was had by all.
And what are we going to be deep geeking on?
Beep
geeking.
Maybe a movie. Maybe a movie that just came out a little while ago, like really recently. What could that be? Chipmunks.
Chipmunks, yeah.
Yeah,
no.
Yeah, because who doesn't want to deep geek about Alvin?
Yeah, no, I don't think so. Star Wars,
The Force Awakens.
And that will be on January 4th when that is released.
So hopefully
everybody will
all of you will have seen it because it's deep geeking, and I wouldn't say that it's uber spoilery, but we
have enough spoilers.
There's plenty of spoilers in there, so sit tight. You better see the film if you haven't seen it
exactly.
by then.
Yep. Okay, that should do it for this episode of TG Geeks Webcast. Be sure to check out the article for this webcast episodes. We're going to have several links in the page. And remember, you can comment on our Facebook page or our website, tggeeks.com, or you can leave us a voicemail at 469-TG-GEEKS. That is 469-844-3357. From TG Squared Studios, I am Keith Lane. Thanks for listening. I bid you peace.
Better see the movie before have you seen it? Oh, whatever. Cheers!